Ricky, how was your Freshers Week?
My freshers week was weird, I guess, because I had 9 a.m.s in my freshers week. I had more than one 9 a.m. So I had to get up and go to them. So and they were ones that I had to go to. So it was like I had to show like DBS forms and just forms I had to fill in, and I had to be there at that time. So I think the people who I was with, who were mostly people on my course, didn't have the idea that we need to be out till 4 a.m. or whatever. But I think a lot of people have a lot of expectations for Freshers Week. That is this massive thing that you have to put all your effort into, and it has to be this incredible week. And I guess it doesn't surprise me then that a lot of people come out saying that it wasn't that great, because it really is about your expectation of what is going to happen when you go in. Because realistically, it's probably a fine week, a good week, but when you're told this is the best week that there will ever be ever, and it doesn't live up to that, you're obviously going to think that it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I think I agree. So I think I enjoyed like the daytime when I was sort of going to the taster lectures and like meeting people on my course, and it was all a bit less like pressure. Because I think when you think about Freshers Week, you think about the nights out, like typically. So during the day there was less sort of expectation of what to do. So in a way it was better because there was nothing to live up to. But for me, like, I don't really drink very much, and everyone who I was around did. And I think it's also a bit of a strange experience. Like, I went out before when I was in sixth form, but you were going out with people that you knew. And to go to a nightclub, like, completely with strangers is a very strange thing. And that's why I think, for me, because I didn't make friends in that week and didn't enjoy all these big nights out, I was like, not enjoying it as much as I could have done. But yeah, I think it was more because of the high expectations that made it worse.
It's like for me, on the first day of uni, the halls that I had a bar, so there were loads of people around there, and it was literally like you'd step out the door and it was like this miniature festival just going around in your halls. And it got to the point that when I met these random people at the bar, they said, oh, there's this rave happening. And I was like, okay, this is what I meant to do, say yes to this. So like, we all planned on getting it. I bought the £8 ticket, and literally the only thing that stopped us was that the next bus was in an hour and a half. So that night, I could have spent it in a rave with people I didn't know, just because I thought, I have to do this because it's Freshers Week. And it's just crazy to think that there's that much expectation just in this 1 week.
Yeah. What about you guys? What did you think?
I really enjoyed my Freshers Week. I think I went out a lot more than I could now, but I think next Freshers somehow I'll be able to do that again. I don't know how I do it, but like somehow you do. But I think it's great for meeting people. Like for me, it was meeting people in my halls. I remember my first day, we didn't know we were going to go out, and then we all went out with these people from this other flat as well. We just had a good time, met everyone, and I'm still friends with everyone bar one who I went out with on the first day. So that was a really good experience for me. But I feel like I've had so much better nights out that weren't in Freshers Week. So don't put all your effort into Freshers Week or like expect it to be amazing when you can have other great times. It doesn't have to be in this 1 week. It can be any other time, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Don't think that Freshers Week is going to be the week of the year. Exactly. I mean, especially in my situation, I think for a lot of people, Freshers Week, you go out with your flatmates because it's who you live with. It's the first people you meet. So those ones you go out with, but I didn't like get on that well with them. So I never went out with them. I mean, honestly, when I look back, I didn't really do Freshers Week. Like I was with my boyfriend because I wasn't enjoying my accommodation and the people I was living with because I didn't want to go out with them because we just didn't get on. So I missed that. And then I felt like I regretted it when everyone asked me, it was like, oh, how was like your freshers and stuff? And I go home, I was like, oh, I didn't really go out. I felt like embarrassed, ashamed to say that I didn't go out and get drunk with some strangers at 3 a.m. in the morning and stumble home. But then I'm like, no, Max, that's totally okay, that's normal.
See, I had the same experience, and that made it worse for me because I remember one night out really clearly. I was not having a good time, and I was in a club that was like literally next to my accommodation. So I was like, do you know what, I'm going to go home because I'm not enjoying this. Why am I staying here with people that I don't like? So I was like, okay, I'm going home. I think the hardest part of that for me was feeling like I should be having fun.
Yeah.
But actually, like you said, it's okay to not enjoy it. Like it's silly to be like, oh, I must enjoy going out because not everyone does.
Exactly. Like since then, I've had many great nights out with my philosophy friends,
with
not in
strangers.
freshers. Yeah, exactly.
I think like again, people think freshers is just about the nights out, but actually there are other things that you can do. And I think if you don't enjoy going out, like that's like people do enjoy going out. If you enjoy going out, go out. Like, you do you, I think is the phrase to use in this case. Like,
Definitely.
if you don't go out, then just do other activities that are on. And I think it kind of comes down to you need for publicising them a bit more.
Yeah.
I think I remember freshers during my second year, the non-alcohol events were publicised much more. There was like cafe crawls and stuff, and like comedy nights and things like that. So I think if you enjoy that, and if that will make your Freshers Week more fun, there should be no shame in doing that.
I totally agree. I remember thinking, oh, I'm not going out with these strangers, so I'm just not going to partake in Freshers Week. And it wasn't until like maybe a couple of weeks after that I saw that there were all these other events which weren't just going out and clubbing. I was like, oh, actually, I could have gone to this. Like, actually, there is a Freshers for you, for the person who doesn't want to go out and get drunk.
And maybe that's something like they should improve on letting people know, because I had no idea about any events that wasn't like drinking. The only way I hear through things is like someone says, oh, there's something going on here.
So I think
like,
the accommodation plays a big part in that.
I think there's a lot of, the worst thing about Freshers Week is that there is a lot of pressure to have fun, but at the same time, what I think is the good thing about it, even the going outside with people that you don't know, is that it's kind of a skill that there's not many places that you can learn, being able to just have fun with people you don't know, or get to know people you don't know and be completely comfortable with that. Because there have been times now, looking back at myself 2 years ago compared to me now, where I'm like, I can meet a group of people I don't know and socialize with them, get along with them, and that's fine, whereas I couldn't do that before. And it was kind of because of things like Freshers Week that I was just forced to do that. And it's something where it can be a bit daunting, but it's something that I think is quite important, to try and put yourself out of your comfort zone.
But then I think you can do that in exactly the same way without the night out aspect of it. So I think, like you said, it's really important to be able to mix with new people, but I think you can get that sitting in a cafe, or even sitting in a bar that isn't a club, because, I don't know, personally I think clubbing with people is not necessarily the best way to make friends, because when you're in a club you can't talk to
Exactly.
people.
You can't really socialise it.
Or like the friends, so my experience like going out in first year in general, the people who I went out with, like, it was very shallow friendships, and how you developed like actual meaningful connections with people was like when you were just chilling in an afternoon, like you went to a cafe or between lectures and things like that. Like, I feel going out can be a way to sort of get loads of friends, but to get actually good friends you have to do more activities than just going out.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it doesn't have to, if you don't like clubbing, then there's no point in trying to make yourself more like clubbing. That's why I say, like, that's the worst thing about it, the pressure and the expectation and trying to meet that expectation. But I think the reason why a bunch of first years gravitate to the idea of going out with people and having nights out is because there is this feeling that once you've gone out with someone and been, let's be real, a drunken mess, there's this like barrier that's been broken between the two of you, and then it's like you're not just my awkward flatmate, you're my awkward flatmate that I helped stumble back home into your door, whatever. And it's perhaps an unhealthy dynamic, but that's, I think, why people gravitate towards it, because it's hard to just meet people and just be like, I have to be your friend, or me and you are going to be spending the next year together, so let's get close. But going out and being in that situation kind of aids that along.
I really like the point you made there, actually, yeah, because it's a sort of going through, like, seeing someone in the lowest lows, you see that and you break down those barriers.
Yeah.
So, like, when you first move into a flat with strangers, it's like, would you like to go out for a coffee, or should we go out tonight? Should we go to a club? It's like, everyone just goes to a club.
Yeah.
And how people make friends. So I suppose it's about just making those other experiences, the other ways of making those friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just a bit more known.
Yeah.
So yes, I guess the problem is what happens to the people that don't drink, because if everyone is saying that going out is the only way to make friends, and like hearing about, so I like more and more students now don't drink at all or drink less, and I think if you hear about people's nights out, like all this bonding experience they have while they're drunk, and then you think, well, I don't drink, so I'm going to be excluded from that situation. And also I think it's a bit of a weird culture, because drinking has serious ramifications. Like, obviously most people do it in like a relatively healthy way, but I think it can have like serious long-term consequences. I think a lot of mental health problems that come around at university are from people having unhealthy coping mechanisms, like getting home and being stressed and thinking, right, I'm going to drink. That isn't a good way to cope with your issues. And I think in the long run, you're not really setting up healthy, well-functioning adults.
I definitely agree with that. And I think that's a really good point. Just from my personal experience, and hearing the statistics, it sounds like less uni students drink, but the ones who do drink more.
I had quite a tame Freshers Week, to be honest. I was in a relationship, so I wasn't going to have sex with people who weren't my boyfriend, and he wasn't there at the time, so and didn't do any recreational drugs. I barely drank any alcohol. It's just my personal choice, and I think the things I did were more like bonding with people who were in my flat or like around in the same halls as me. Like I went shopping with someone I met on my course, and yeah, I guess in a way I felt like I was being really boring, but if that's what I enjoy, then I think that should be okay. Whereas my flatmates were more into like recreational drugs and things like that, and that contrast made it harder for me. But yeah, I don't know. What did you
I
guys
agree
get
with
up
that
to?
in terms of like I had a boyfriend too, so it was that sort of I wasn't going to go out and just like go get with a load of people and like just get parasitically drunk. Like I don't drink socially, I only drink to get drunk. So and that doesn't happen too often. So it's a sort of like I will just avoid those, just going to a pub and just drinking, just like to get tipsy or something in a way. So I did lots of other things, but like there was the things I was quite proud that I did. Like I would just go out with, like just my neighbours, not in my flat, but I just went out like shopping with them and stuff. It was like I felt that was quite good. Like that was a bonding thing. But like someone else, that was quite boring. You didn't go out last night? No, but actually I enjoyed just going out and making like a new friendship.
Yeah,
so
like
it was
having a
quite nice.
conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the fact that there is an expectation of what your Freshers Week should be like is probably the worst thing. In my Freshers Week, I went out pretty much every day of my Freshers Week, even though I had 9 a.m.s most days. But what I did was because in my halls had essentially an event pretty much every day, so I essentially just divided the week up between my halls and all of them. So I was going to at least one event with loads of people, and the thing about that is it kind of set me up in a weird way, because even now my friends, the people I live with, see me as someone who spends a lot of time with people that they don't know. So it's as if I don't have this central group of friends, and that all started from making that decision in Freshers Week, and it's something that's still, the ramifications are still there today.
Positive or negative?
Well, it's good because I think I have a lot of different people that I know, and I definitely have friends that they don't know and stuff like that. But at the same time, they are definitely closer to each other than I am to them, I think. And they know more people in our course than I do necessarily, because a lot of the people that I hang out with aren't in that circle.
Interesting. Yeah, I really felt left out of my flat for like a good solid term because I didn't go out and socialise with them. Like I get on with them inside the flat and I talk to them, but because they all went out with each other, I felt like really left out. So it was just like I just had my fallback as I sort of socialised with my course mates and stuff, and it wasn't until term 2 that I really made those strong friendships and I actually got on better with my flatmates. So I see what you mean about that sort of they're closer friends with each other and kind of like feeling a bit out of it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that students rated their Freshers Week as a 6.5 out of 10 is not surprising, honestly. I mean, like we were discussing about expectations, you expect it to be a 10. You come in hearing that it's going to be the best time ever, and you get there and it's not. Whether it's you've gone out and you've done some embarrassing things and it's actually you've done some dangerous things, whatever, and it's been that kind of bad, or because you haven't gone out drinking and it's like, oh, Freshers Week wasn't for me, it wasn't my thing. I think really there's just so much pressure on it to be the thing of the year, and therefore it is just such a big disappointment. I think a lot of people reflect back on it. It wasn't an awful week. It was just like another week.
It was
just the first week. That was all. It wasn't
first week.
like it's supposed to be Freshers Week is an event. It's a big thing, but no, it's really just your first week. You just meet new people. That's all.
But then Becca, you had like a positive experience of Freshers Week, or like did you enjoy it? Like, what would you rate your Freshers Week as? Higher than that?
Yeah, I've rated it higher than a 6.5, I think. But as I said, I've had weeks or nights that have been better, and they weren't Freshers Week, and they weren't hyped up. And I think because of the hype, it's like you expect it to be good, and so if it's lower, it's like, oh god. But then if like there was a random night where you just go out and it's not Freshers Week, and you don't expect anything of it and it's amazing, then it seems so much more amazing because you weren't expecting anything. But Freshers Week, you're expecting so much. So I'd probably give mine I don't even remember, maybe like a 7 or an 8, but like, you know, don't expect it to be amazing because it won't if you expect it to.
I think one of the hardest parts about, like, say you don't go on a night out that your flatmates go on to, one of the hardest things would be seeing it on their Snapchat stories the next day. Then, like, my view is that if you're really enjoying yourself, why do you put it on Snapchat? Like, why do you feel like, if I'm with someone and they get their phone out, I think, well, you're obviously not enjoying my company very much then, are you? So I think it's really hard to see everyone putting these videos on Facebook, or not Facebook, that's probably very old fashioned, putting them on Instagram stories or Snapchat now, and like they portray it as them having this great time, but really, are you enjoying it if you're just spending your whole time putting it on social media?
It's, again, it goes like, it's the question of why do they use social media? What is the reason that they're using it in their heads? But I think it's because even if they don't think about it necessarily, it's, look at me, I'm having such a great time, and they want people to know that they're having a great time, or at least think that they're having a great time.
Did you even have a good time if you didn't put it on social media?
Exactly.
I mean, I can definitely see that like members of LGBT communities finding Freshers Week less fun. I can definitely see where they're coming from. I mean, my experience, I didn't think that well because I didn't partake in Freshers Week because I had a boyfriend. But then on the other hand, if I was single and I was going out to like Freshers Week, you have people go out to like get off with those people, but it's like it's so hard to like just go out to a club like as a gay guy and be like, I can't just go out to another guy. Like I think it's hard to just like make out with him. So it's that sort of part of going out is like removed for me because I have that sort of the unknown, so I just don't do it. So I don't have that sort of the fun of that.
And I think as well, a big part in terms of BME people is that it's a massive cultural thing as well. Because for me, I was born in Zimbabwe, and I lived pretty much from the age of 10 onwards here. But I was essentially raised in essentially the complete English culture, and I never really knew anything else really. But you have a bunch of people who live particularly in South London, East London, stuff like that, and I can really only speak for Black British people. But those specific people, their culture and their going out and doing things with their friends is not the same as it is in Freshers Week. It's completely different. It's kind of like these two sides that just never meet each other. And I have a lot of friends who are Black who don't really understand the idea of going out and getting with a bunch of people. It's just something that they just don't do. Not because they can't do it, or not even that they think it's wrong. It's just like, why would they even want to do it? And it's something that is just assumed that that's what that everyone would want to do, and it's just completely not in their environment, in the way that they were raised. It's just not part of them.
I would be surprised that Kelly, even as an Australian student, reported the experience as higher than the general population, only because I think, speaking personally, it's quite hard to address the issue of being a Caliver or an Australian student with people that you don't know very well, because people automatically talk about their parents, and that's not their fault. It's just like the way our culture is. People expect you to have parents, and not having that typical nuclear family can be quite difficult to, it's quite hard to bring that up sometimes. So I think, like, I definitely didn't tell my flatmates about it like really straight away, because I find it hard to like open up and bring the conversation up. But then I guess maybe they would enjoy it more because they're being removed from their situation that they were in previously, which could well have been much worse. So if you're coming from a bit of a crappy situation and now you have all this freedom and all this money, then you're going to be like, yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like I bought a brand new iPhone 7 in Freshers Week and I loved that because I finally had some money. So I guess, yeah, it's an interesting mix, I guess, yeah. I think, like, in a way, not enjoying spending time with my flatmates, like, encouraged me to seek friendship elsewhere. So I think, if anything, having, like, a bit of a less good time, like, pushed me to find people who I actually got on with, and in a way, like, made my uni experience better. Because I figured out, like, okay, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to hang around with these people, so I'll go and find other people that I do want to hang around with. But I think it would be quite hard if you had a really bad experience and then weren't able to sort of find other people and like bounce back from that. So I guess it sort of comes into how resilient you are as a person.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite hard to say that any 1 week of your life can change the next 3 years at all. But there are definitely some things in Freshers Week that kind of resonate to your whole time in uni, but at the same time, it's just a week. I think probably the most important time maybe is the first year or the first term, but even then you can always bounce back regardless of what happens. And I think I do know people who've made friendships in Freshers Week and are still best friends to this day, but it's just a week. So much can change in a month even.
I think maybe to improve Freshers Week, you just remove week. It's just freshers, honestly. Like, make it just it's just a settling in period. It doesn't have to be the first week, because like we've all said, 1 week cannot really influence the rest of your time at university. So just make it freshers, where there's all these opportunities. You don't have to go out and drink. You can do all these alcohol-free things if you want to. There's so many other socialising opportunities that you can partake at the beginning of the year. So that is just freshers. So just do all this other stuff. Don't boil everything down to 1 week of drinking.
What do you think, as someone who's pretty much just finished first year, what do you think the purpose of Freshers Week or Freshers really is? Why do you think it's a thing? Because to me, I until I really thought about it, I always thought it was just the name of a bunch of events in 1 week. But now that I think about it, it's actually, oh no, it's about the settling in period and stuff like that. But I just saw it as just the nights out.
No, I think I agree. I do still would see it as just like, it's just the nights out really. It's mainly the nights out, but I suppose they're trying to make it more of a, like, I know the university and the SU were setting up other events for people to do, which weren't nights out. So it's definitely becoming more of that, but still in my eyes, at least the impression I got from it, it was a week of going out. But I suppose it is that socialising.
Yeah, I guess the point as well is, like you were saying, like you had lectures where you had to go and like give in your DBS checks and all that. So I guess, and we had like, you had to register for your course, you had to sign up to things, and like Freshers Fair where you go and like join societies. So the point is like a transitional week, because if you came to uni on your first day and started with lectures, that would obviously be a bit like whoa. But so I think the point is to give people a week to settle in to the new city and explore, but they should, like we mentioned this earlier, like publicise more events that aren't solely focused on going out.
So I think that in terms of making Freshers Week better, it's about like removing the pressures of expecting it to be the best. As it's like starting your first day at a new job or a new school, you don't think it's going to be amazing. It's just something new. So you don't go in with all these expectations about, I'm going to make loads of friends, I'm going to have such a fun time. It's like, I'm just going into a new opportunity, new people. So it's to try and, I suppose you prepare yourself in a different way. You don't prepare yourself for fun, but you prepare yourself to maybe deal with some bad times that might come. That's something I definitely didn't expect. Like, I didn't expect my Freshers Week to be like, well, it wasn't awful, but like to just not be fun. Like, I didn't really partake in it. So I suppose about removing that sort of, Freshers Week is fun, but making it more of a, Freshers is just an introduction. It's just like first day at a new school. It's just one of those.
And it's okay that it's not fun.
Yeah, because then you can deal with that.
Yeah, you can use the opportunity to then grow as a person and like have a fun year instead.
Yeah, and if you ever had a week in your life where you just think everything was incredible, because if you lived every week like that, you would just be so unhappy, because you'd be like, why is this week not the best week of my life?
Yeah.
And thinking about anything like that isn't good for you.